Hello, I am the H-Town Vet, and I would like to welcome you to our channel, a place where we will discuss a variety of benefits available to veterans and their dependents. Today's topic is all about the dependents of disabled veterans. In this video, we will discuss when dependent status starts, who qualifies as a dependent, events that affect dependent status, common law unions, federal VA benefits for dependents, state benefits for dependents of disabled veterans, VA form for adding dependents, and finally, dependents and fraudulent claims. From the VA's perspective, relationships are not based on love, but paperwork. In the words of the late B.B. King, no one loves me but my mother, and she could be lying too. Number 1, dependent status. Dependent status starts at a 30% rating. You could have one disability rated at 30% or a combined rating of 30%. While you automatically qualify for dependent pay at 30%, you must apply for it. Listed here are some of the pay rates for the dependents of disabled veterans based on your percentage. But you might say, H-Town Vet, me and my spouse are both disabled veterans with at least a 30% rating. What then? Both parents can receive compensation for the same child, whether they're married or not. This is true for most dependent benefits, but you need to check with the VA. Number 2, who qualifies as a dependent according to the VA? Simply put, anyone that the disabled veteran has a financial responsibility to support. To include spouse, biological and stepchildren under the age of 18, children between the ages of 18 and 23 who are attending school, children over the age of 18 who are permanently incapable of self-support. However, the child's disability must have started before they turn the age of 18. The VA refers to these dependents as helpless child. Adopted children, whether the adoption was done through a private agency or the veteran adopted a family member, such as a niece or nephew or grandchildren. Dependent parents, financially, the veteran must provide at least 50% of the parent's care, and there are income limits for the parents themselves. To my knowledge, the parent doesn't have to live with you, but check with the VA to be sure. Now let's deal with the elephant in the room. Some of you say, H-Town Vet, I don't need a piece of paper to say that I'm married. And that's true. Neither does the VA. If you and your partner put yourself out there as married, or there's a paper trail out there that shows that y'all live as a married couple, depending on your state, they may have rights as a dependent. Number 3, events that changes dependent status. A good thing to do once you know you're going to have a change in dependent status is to submit an intent to file. Your effective date will be when you submitted the claim, not when you added your dependents. Marriage is one of the main events that changes a dependent status. But in order for the VA to pay you for a dependent, in most cases, you're going to have to put it on paper. Once you have your marriage license, you need to submit a copy to the VA. My suggestion would be that you take an official copy up to your regional VA office and get a stamped copy for yourself. While you can't upload the documents, you do it at your own risk. And for you dudes with these multiple wives, the VA is only going to pay you for one of them. The spouse with the earliest marriage license and no proof of divorce gets the bag. And for all you players and playettes out there, polygamy is a crime in the United States. Another event that adds a dependent is the birth of a child. Just like the marriage license, you need to take an official copy of the birth certificate down to the regional VA office. If you have to take a road trip to do it, it's worth the sacrifice. But let's back up a minute. Before you sign any legal document, including a birth certificate, you need to verify that the information is correct. Like my big mama told me, mama's babies, daddy's maybe. Given the state of paternity fraud in the United States, I wouldn't sign any birth certificate unless I've had at least 2 DNA tests to prove that the child is mine. You have been forewarned. In addition to the birth certificate, you should bring the Social Security card and any other documentation that the VA is asking for. You should report adoptions with the proper documentation also. When you're sure that the adoption will take less than a year, submit that intent to file. Before you sign the adoption paperwork, make sure that the date of adoption and all the names are spelled correctly. A common event that changes a dependent child's status is attending college. If the veteran has a rating between 30% and 90%, the disabled veteran has to submit the document showing that the child is enrolled in college. Let's take a veteran paid at the 100% rate as an example. At the time of this video, any veteran with a child under the age of 18 would receive an extra $103.55 each month on their compensation check, and $334.49 once they turn 18. For a veteran that has a 100% permanent and total status and dependent children, the rules are different. The first major difference is they qualify for Chapter 35 DEA educational benefits. As a result, they receive their own funds and are removed from the veteran's compensation payment. Each semester, the veteran's child has to fill out a Chapter 35 enrollment form to verify that they're in school. The student fills out the section pertaining to them, the school fills out a section, and the dependent or student submits the form to the VA. A similar verification process is used for CHAMP VA healthcare. You should also inform the VA in writing if your child over 18 stops school, gets married, or if a stepchild is no longer a member of your household, because stepchildren are viewed a little differently by the VA. Unlike biological children, the veteran must provide 50% of the stepchild's living expenses. If your spouse, child, or dependent parent passes away, you must inform the VA. And the final dependency change you need to report to the VA, a divorce. Now this is where you're going to have to listen very close. When you submit the divorce decree to the VA, of course you should get a stamped copy for yourself. Then monitor the situation. Check and make sure that your next VA compensation check is reduced by the amount that you receive for your spouse. This is where you call the 1-800 number and make sure that the divorce decree was submitted to the right department. This can be confusing because you may have to submit the divorce decree to different departments of the VA. Let's say, for example, in addition to having your spouse as a dependent, their name was also on documents related to your VA home loan. You cannot make the assumption that these different departments would share the divorce decree. So what if you choose not to share dependency change with the VA? Well, at first, nothing. Like everything else with the VA, the debt management department tends to move slow. Like any federal agency, they'll wait a good 5 to 10 years before they ask for their money back. They can ask for it all at once, or you can work out a payment plan with them, but you're going to pay them their money. But if the overpayment happened of no fault of your own, you can claim financial hardship. Number 4, common law unions. Common law marriage is when you cohabitate, or what we call down south, shacking up with each other as some form of domestic partner. You may call your partner your play wife or your play husband, but the state of Texas and the VA are not playing. Matter of fact, if a veteran passes and the partner has evidence that y'all presented yourselves as husband and wife, the surviving partner may have a claim to death benefits. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. Just make everything official with a legal agreement to keep down controversy in the family. We're about at the halfway mark, so if this video has been informative, please like, share, and subscribe. Number 5, federal VA benefits for dependents. CHAMP VA healthcare benefits. If you have private health insurance, in most cases, CHAMP VA will cover anything that the primary insurance doesn't. And if you don't have private insurance, CHAMP VA covers everything. In most cases, the veterans must be permanent and total. And if the dependents qualify for TRICARE, they cannot use CHAMP VA. Here's an example of the CHAMP VA form. Another federal program for the dependents of disabled veterans is the Dependents Education Assistance Program, known as Chapter 35. Here are the rates for part-time students and full-time students. Just remember, the veteran must be 100% permanent total for the dependents to qualify. This is the form that needs to be completed by the veteran and the dependent. Each dependent within the age requirement qualifies for a base privilege ID card. This gives the dependent access to base exchange, commissaries, and other base activities. The dependents also have access to the exchange online. Any purchases over $50 comes with free shipping and are tax-free. Here's the form for the dependent base ID card. The sponsor's signature must be on the form even if they're not present at the ID office. For more information, contact your local military ID office. Surviving spouses under the age of 57 who have not remarried qualify for a VA home loan. The benefit will allow surviving spouses to buy a home, rebuild a home, do repairs, and refinance. The surviving spouse must be in receipt of dependency and indemnity compensation or DCI death benefit. Dependents of 100% permanent total veterans can take military space age travel flights, but they must have their dependent ID card and be accompanied by their sponsor. They can travel throughout the continental U.S., Hawaii and Alaska, and American territories. DIC death benefit. This is the benefit that surviving spouses need to qualify for the VA home loan. This is a monthly payment that is tax-free and provides compensation to surviving spouses, dependent children, and dependent parents that meet income requirements. There are two disabled veteran life insurance, the first being phased out, which is SDVI, and the new one, VA Life. Even though SDVI insurance stopped taking new enrollees at the end of 2022, those that have this insurance can keep it. This is good for some veteran with a 100% rating because the premium for the $10,000 policy is waived. But VA Life has its benefits. First, there are no health requirements, meaning you don't have to take any exam to qualify for the insurance. While the old SDVI insurance had a time limit of 2 years to apply, VA Life has no such time limits. I will go into more detail about both of these insurances in an upcoming video. Certain dependents of disabled veterans will receive a burial and plot allowance of $2,000. Another less known benefit is the Veterans Month of Death benefit. The surviving spouse should automatically receive the last month's disability payment. A veteran should have documentation of all family members and dependents to include important records such as DD-214, a marriage license of current marriage, and marriage licenses and divorce decrees of previous marriages. Number 6, adding and removing dependents. This is the first page of the forms that will accomplish those tasks. As I said earlier in the video, use that intent to file to lock in that back pay date. To learn more about the federal benefits for the dependents of disabled veterans, watch our video, VA Disability Benefits from 0 to 100% and 100% permanent total. Number 7, state benefits for VA dependents. Several states have benefits for the dependents of disabled veterans. As it is my usual procedure, I will use my home state of Texas as an example. First is the benefit that brought me back home to Texas, the Hazelwood Act. As many other states do, Texas offers a tuition-free education up to 150 credit hours for veterans who entered the military from the state. This benefit also extends to the spouse and child of a disabled veteran with a rating of 100% or has a 100% rating due to individual unemployability. I cover the Hazelwood Act in more detail in my video, 5 Reasons a Disabled Veteran Should Move to Houston. Another amazing benefit for the dependents of disabled veterans is the surviving spouse property tax exemption. It requires a 100% rating. Number 8, dependents and fraudulent claims. To say that the VA has a problem with people trying to take advantage of veterans' benefits is an understatement. Unfortunately, Dependents are not exempt from this category. As a way to support the families of disabled veterans that are not being provided for by the veteran, the VA allows the dependent spouse to file a claim called an apportionment. This could be because the veteran is incarcerated or not paying child support. But there are other cases when the other spouse files for an apportionment and is already receiving child support. I know because it happened to me. My main weapon was waiting for the other parent to make false statements on this apportionment form and then sign their name. To learn how I was able to fight the claim, please watch my video, VA Compensation and Child Support. And for other information on how to protect your benefits from fraudulent activity, watch our video, Protecting VA Compensation. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next video.